What's up, Miniatures Paintbrush Legion, and welcome to another episode of Painting Tutorials. The Warlock Bombardier. It is the last piece of my challenge of creating the Verminous host, and it's the last tutorial you're going to see from this box. This Warlock Bombardier right here is what we're going to be painting for this show. And it was so great to get something accomplished, and out of my pile of shame, this was intimidating. At least it was 85 models, was the most models I've ever painted out of a box set, and it's finally done. So without further ado, let's go down to Tabletown and see how I got on with it. All right, let's go, my guy. We are on the Tabletown, and we're gonna start off with some Ushanti bone. I'm pretty putting on this little layer and thick because I'm going over for coverage. And the thing about Ushanti bone, I find that I can go a little thicker when I apply it and it not be disastrous, but there is a fine line. There is a fine line. You definitely want to wait till it completely dries before you add another coat. All right, getting in with the red, we're going to go for Mephiston Red right now. Mephiston Red, my go-to for red. I really do love Citadel's or Warhammer's Mephiston Red. And the Evilstone Scarlet Highlight, which comes next. Now, it's important that when you want to do steps and highlights that you do have different kind of layers and you go over slightly smaller areas, going from the shadows to the highlights, and you're going to want to be careful with that. Now, applying the red, going back, and I'm going to do a mid-tone, which the mid-tone is Ushanti Bone with a Wraithbone mix of 50-50. Now I'm going to pretty much cover all the upward facing areas just to make sure that I have some kind of a gradient that I'm starting right now. So it's not just one base color and adding depth and interest to the model by adding different layers so you can see exactly where shadows are and where the sun is actually hitting it or the light is actually hitting it. All right, now we're going to go with Wraithbone, which is pure Wraithbone against Citadel paints. If you want to go with these. Now, you can do other paints as long as you have some kind of ivory mixed in with white. You can definitely hit that off. Now, maybe not pure white, but like a really bright color would do. Pure white usually desaturates the paint, and that's an enemy when you are trying to build contrast, desaturation. Unless that's what you're going for with your painting. Okay. I'm going to switch it off, and next up, I'm going to do the hands. We're doing Pale Flesh from Vallejo Model Color. Very good. And you can highlight that up with a Fairy Flesh as well. And that's a lot of fun. Now, if you want to be careful and do each knuckle and trying to leave it dark in between the fingers, that would be optimal. But I went back and I put in the black lining later on in this build and this paint. All right, so let's switch over to, let's go for the red. We're heading off with Evil Sun Scarlet mixed in with Mephiston Red, just so I can have a mid-tone. And then the highlight's going to be straight Evil Sun Scarlet, which is a brighter red. So going from a duller red to a highlighted higher red. And what I'm doing is trying to get the upper areas to be brighter than the lower areas. And that just makes sense how the way light hits things. So trying to keep things in the shadow. You don't want to paint any shadow areas. You just want to do the highlight areas right there. Now, the thing about these reds is that they go on a lot brighter wet than they do dry. Paint generally looks a lot more vibrant when it's wet because it's actually glistening back to you than when it's dry, which it dulls down. And these are matte finish paints, so they are going to dull down. That's something that you're going to have to, prepare for. There. All right, this red was fun to paint. And there you see the transition right there. We're going to go back and we're going to start hitting the armor plates. Now, armor plates are really good. I start off with a mix of Balthasar gold with Stormhost silver. About a 50-50 mix. And that makes a very unique kind of coppery metal. And I love using that metal because it seems very unique. And I use it for all my Skaven. It's something I discovered. I wanted a redder gold than Vallejo metal color gold, which was a very greenish gold. I wanted a warm gold. So adding that Baltasar gold from Citadel color, which will be soon Warhammer, if you're seeing this in the future, really, really does help bringing that nice warmth glow. Now, I knew I was going to go for a lighter, colder green color as a real pop color because it's a contrasty color to all these warm colors that I'm adding to it as well. So the skin is warm and the cloak, the warm white and the red really complements with the warm gold plating that I have around. So now that I'm done with all the gold bits and the skin's looking pretty nice, I'm going to hit it with, I start off with Warpstone Glow. Now, usually when I hit green, I go for Caliban green and then go up to a Warpstone Glow, but I really wanted this to be bright. So what I did here was start off with Citadel color Warpstone Glow, aka Warhammer paint, and then I added an ink to it, which was light green from Dalunrani FW inks. Now you can do any kind of like really bright color, bright green. There are several light green colors that you can add into this. You don't have to actually use the exact colors, but you can. If you want to follow this recipe, you can. But there are so many different ways and different perspectives on how to paint, and what colors to use. You're going to be mixing the paints back and forth anyway, so you're going to have that transition either way. So you can experiment with different kind of colors, have fun with it. If it's not fun, you're doing it wrong, you know. But yeah. Okay, so now just going in with a nice light green. This time it's about 10% Warpstone Glow with a good 90% light green, and really bringing up an undershading of that glow, or trying to get a transition through it. Again, I was just playing with paint right here. I didn't have a finished gold when I started out. I just put paint on it, and the worst that can happen is I can paint over it if it doesn't look exactly the way I like. Now, this is more sketching than it is blending right here. And hindsight, maybe I could have done a little more blending. And you can by simple glazing. That's just taking the transparency of the paint and toning it way up. How you do that is that you get some glaze medium and some water, and you liquefy the paint so it looks like just dirty paint water in the color that you want. And you slowly build it up by painting, letting it dry, putting another layer on, letting it dry, and you're using that filter. The more that it is translucent, the more control you actually have. So with this one, I was just having a ball, having some fun, throwing in some colors, just for giggles, so to speak. All right, now I'm just going in with Stormhost Silver, going straight to Stormhost Silver because I think the backpack was just too one colorish, and I really wanted to add some definition. So Stormhost Silver, I have silver bits on the backpack as well, and going through any kind of highlights that I want to do. And with the metal, I'm definitely going pure Stormhost Silver so I can get a nice transition to it. Now, this is a fun little tube inspired backpack, and I love it. It's so much fun to paint. There's so many gribblies going on in there. I swear, the Skaven are really fun to paint because they're just so whimsical and so out there and so animated that... yeah, it seems almost like a Saturday morning cartoon if you remember those, if you're my age. All right, let's swipe it over and let's finish this off. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to get little bits of, that was just a little bit of cloak that I forgot, and I went over with it with a nice Ushanti Bone and Screaming Skull mix right there, just to finish it off, and adding little details wherever I missed any details. But this is just about done. I did the little rat in black, and then I put a little bit of gray on top of it. I just mixed white and black in order to get that gray. There's a lot of different little rats going on here, and I wanted to go for black rats. It was just fun. I've done all different colored rats, but since I didn't want them to steal the show, I wanted them to add it. Again, fun model to do. Just trying to get the mouth, and you can see that my paintbrush actually split at the end. I don't know. I keep trying, right? To get a great tip. And I'm still looking for the perfect brush, and the perfect way to paint. I don't know if perfect's the right thing. I'm looking for a good way to paint, a better way to paint, because I'm always trying to increase one skill. All right. I think this is just about done. So cue in that music and let's go. All right, so it's all finished, and now it's time for a grand reveal. Bombardier, the Warlock Bombardier, marks the end of an era for me when it comes to Skaven and finishing that box. That challenge was immense. I know I promised some Space Wolves, and that is coming next week. I forgot I had this footage here. All right, so, well, hopefully next week. Remember to paint every miniature to increase one of your skills, and may your backlog get ever smaller.